Hello, vlog for the 1st of April 2022. Can't remember what day it is. I ran out of weed like at the end of the week, like last night at the end of the month. So I bought like 2 helpings of like an ounce. So I guess I smoke 2 ounces a month. It's like $89 an ounce. Just got that much now. I'm smoking tons of weed, just smoking. But you know, my lungs can handle it. I got another bong the other day, Woo. I love this bong. Look at, man, I love golden. Because I put my other bong down and it just shattered. I barely even put it down, it just shattered. On my weight, which I use as a table. So, I didn't do a video yesterday because I was just working, I guess, too much. It's organizing stuff. Wasted like a whole day. Backing up photos and videos wasn't that time consuming, but the Google Earth stuff, I had to do it each and every folder, which was lots because I had it all broken up into all the different folders, and because it would drag the folder from one external to the other, but not the contents. So it took, and I had to do some like reorganizing too. So, but then I finished up working on today all day. Today is going to be the work. I wish I could. I got an energy drink like in the morning. I think I'm like nocturnalized. I was up. Yeah, I've been nocturnalized to like perfectly nocturnalized for a while. I was up all night last night, and then I begoned over to Mother's house to this morning because one thing that I call her every day to see if she wants to do a bike ride or a run or a walk. And I have a year-long membership at the gym, but I'm never going to go there. I never went there, and I'm never going to go there. My mom manipulated me into getting it. It was only like $225, so whatever. At least I know I can go there if I want to. Oh, she goes for free because she's old, but we always decide against it. But I go over there to offer to do a walk or a bike ride and see it, and in return, she always like makes me food, which saves me money, and she has good food too, so I eat better. And so I begoned over there this morning, and we walked over to the park, up to the little like creek, then down to the park, and then back, and yeah, and had some brekkie, and then she's like, come back, I want you to help me like rake when you get up in the afternoon. So I came back, and so yeah, I went home and I worked, I guess, a little bit more, and then I like fell asleep, even though I had, I think, about an energy drink on the way home. They don't have 2 for $2.50 deal anymore. Now it's $2 for one. If they had this other one, I can't remember the name of it. But I was it's 2 for $4, but makes my skin crawl because I think it's like niacin. But whatever, $2, and I drank it, and then I was working. Then I fell asleep. But then I woke up at like 5, whatever, and it was still daylight because it's getting daylight. And called my mom, and she invited me over, and I raked her backyard and filled this big black bag with thistles, pine needles from the trees, and threw in the trash. And in return, like this morning, she gave me this egg omelet, and then this evening, it was like something else. But I think, yeah, it was some kind of, oh yeah, pizza. She had pizza. She got Papa Murphy's pizza, chicken pizza. So I had like 4 pieces. Yeah. And then came back, and but I got an energy drink on my way back. I wouldn't mind having some coffee right now, but my coffee maker like takes a day to cook coffee. I don't even know what the dealio is. Oh, my mom sent me back with a little like one of those things, nitrogen, whatever, that you put in the coffee machine to make the coffee taste better. I forgot. I need to reach into my pocket and get that thing. But so yeah. So then I started working and more, until now, and it's like I think it's like 2:30 in the morning or something on the second. So this video is for the first. Yeah, I'm like up and at 'em working, ain't thinking about sleeping. I think I had a little bit of a nap this afternoon. The weed that I was smoking before was making me take naps, making me groggy, which is fine. I don't mind. But that's the convenience of working out of your bed because you can just lie in your belly and take a nap. The work that I'm doing is, well, the stuff that I'm listening to, it's just random stuff. The work that I'm doing doesn't allow for listening to book. I was trying with this book, Oligarchs by Hoffman, but I wasn't paying attention enough to it. So then I just switched over to either music, silence. I'm doing more silence than usual. Or just random gossip. I like random gossip. That's a good background. Like people talking about Will Smith and stuff like that. Oh, and the Ukrainian war and stuff. But because the work that I'm doing is a lot of math. I'm still like dragging in creeks, and then I decided to connect creeks to the area basins, watersheds of them, by putting the data for the creek onto the area, and then I'll put the area on there after. But and then I'm going to put it into its proper place. But because I built a bunch of the water, the watersheds of all these little gulches, and so as it turns out, what my project of creeks in the mountains here is going to look like, which is among like lots of other stuff. Like I'm doing creeks and mountains, creeks of sorry, creeks of mountains, creeks of plains, ditches of mountains, ditches of plains, pipelines of mountains, pipelines of plains, all in one like folder. And then there's another one that's like lakes of mountains and plains, and I'll organize it the way that I organize the creeks. But after when I'm done, and then put it on my website for like individual download. It's a way bigger project than I ever imagined it to be, and it's gonna take like 3 or 4 months. Screw it. Because once you build it once, it's up there forever. Just back it up in a buttload of different places. And who in my lifetime is going to build a better example of it? The answer is nobody. So let's just throw 3 months of my life at it. It's going to be trippy to look at. So what's going to turn out to look at is, plus I never would have built this if it hadn't have already been like halfway built by somebody else from the county of Boulder. But so what I've got is like just if we're gonna talk about the creeks and the mountains, is that you have like 5 major creeks like in Boulder County. There's the northern ones, and that's kind of its own little thing, which is inconsequential. Southern ones too. Oh, actually, I do have an area though that's outside of Boulder County because I'm doing Kingdom of Rome, and that's within the Kingdom of Rome. So I drew in all of those, the ones that are in James Peak Basin, up where the train pops out, Rollins Pass. But and that's because it's also like huge mountain area, like literally right west of here. So it should be in Boulder County. um, so so there's North St. Vrain, South St. Vrain, 4 Mile Creek. I mean Left Hand Creek, Boulder Creek, South Boulder Creek, and like the upper part of South Boulder Creek, I think, is where that James Peak Basin is. So, and out of those, so that's 5 of them, you know, North St. Vrain, South St. Vrain, 4 Mile, Boulder, and then South Boulder Creek, 5, which is convenient because I have 5 columns on my site. And out of those 5, the middle one, number 3, 4 Mile Creek, is the only one that doesn't originate at the Continental Divide. All those other ones originate all the way up at the Continental Divide, and then 4 Mile kind of originates around Ward or something. So that was interesting, and so each one of those has like 50 some odd gulches, or completely other different big canyons, creeks in their own right, like how Boulder Creek has 4 Mile Creek, which goes way up in its own ecosystem, drainage basin. And there's some other ones too that are like that. So each of these like 5 major creeks would have like 50 gulches and or creeks coming off of them. But then out of those creeks, you know, because a lot of them are creeks and not just gulches or tiny little drainages. Out of those creeks, those would have their own numbered gulches. So I am actually, it's turning out I'm going too deep. Now, as I'm saying turning out, because when I went in there before and I just traced a bunch of like gulches, not knowing what they were. And now I'm just like naming them by clicking on the creek below it, copying it, and then clicking on the gully, the area, drainage, and the line tool, and then the polygon tool, and then pasting it on, and then I'll put it organized in a proper location later. But yeah, and if I turn out that I'm like outlining any 3 deep, I think I'm gonna not do any of those, because what I'm trying to be is consistent, logically consistent, you know, like how you try to be grammatically consistent when you're writing, and that's not consistent to have some of them be 3 deep and some others 2 deep. So just go 2 deep for all of them, and then I can figure out a consistent way to color them, because if you go 3 deep for some, then when you see the color, you don't know if it's like a third in or a second in, so it doesn't work. So and then you do the coloring and see how it works. Like I can't really imagine how it works, but I'm imagining like if you do it right, it's going to look really cool. Plus, if you do it right and you look at it, this is like it's kind of like an alternative way to show the form of the Earth to how the traditional altitude lines on traditional topological maps, where you would have the line go around that represents a certain elevation, and then you can look at the lines, and the closer the lines are, the steeper it is, and the farther a line are, and the less steep. And then you can like pinpoint where the top of the hill is based on like where the little circles are, you know. My way is where you do it by drainage basin, watershed. So instead of the top of the mountain being a circle, the top of the mountain is an X. Because when the water comes down, it's like, well, which side of your X does the water fall? Whatever side it falls, that's what drainage basin it goes to. And so instead of looking for the circles to find out where the mountains are, you look for the X's, and looking for X's is just just as easy of a way to find out where those, and then you follow the line from the X, and that's the ridge. So now you know exactly where the ridge is. Whereas when you do topological map, you have to guess roughly where the ridges are, and it's not nearly as accurate. If you see if you literally have a line, like that's the literal ridge. So, so like when you see different creeks come up and almost touch, and then the line comes through it, you know that's because that's like the continental divide of that little, those two gullies. So, it's a really fascinating way, illuminating way to look at the landscape, and you can also, it also illuminates the different types of erosion areas there are, like from the gulches, to the tiny little drainages, to the like cliffs, and based on the different shapes of them, like the really like long slender slivers would be the cliffs, or like the middle of the road in between would be like the little drainages, and then the gulches would be like bigger, and then you have like these faces which are like the little drainages. So yeah, it'll just be, and if you do it right, like you're absorbing so much just at one glance. It's like speed reading for looking at a map, because you're absorbing where the ridges are, and which tells you where all of the different what the different meanings of the vegetation are. Whether it's like from the sun creating these trees here, and then they're not on the other side because there's like a steep cliff or whatever. And then you can see like the shape of your ridge going down, shape of the creek, shape of the gullies, just based on the line of the ridge and the line of the creek. And which is which, because they're different colors, and sizes of the areas, of the drainage basins, lengths of distances of the creeks, distances of all the different distance units of measurement next to each other, because I have feet and mile, height difference, heights of all of it, and just how it all evolves, based off of this super artistically illuminated snapshot in time. So if you're on high enough drugs, you could imagine that in motion, like all of that erosion happening, and like where it came from, what it looked like in the past, and what it looked like in the future. So so the way that I'm building it is like, it's super like stress free, but super time consuming, because you go in there and you draw in where all of it is. But as you go in closer to like, copy and paste the names and stuff, you inevitably look closer to it, and you see that some of them, when they're connected, are overlapping. So you have to connect them, and when you connect them to make them so that they're snug, fit next to each other, to adjacent areas, you see some of closer than others, so then you have to find exactly where the ridge is, and then you have to, so it's just small fine-tuning perfections, which takes forever. It's like trying to write a 1,000-page book, with perfect grammar and thought, by proofreading 100 times each paragraph. So really slow going. Luckily, Boulder County isn't that big. But it's a good size. It's something that you could possibly do, but it would take a long time. So yeah, I mean, like all the entire rest of the month of April, I'm going to be probably working just on this. Maybe like another, God, I could be working like another 2 weeks just on these creeks of the mountains, or at least another week, which means another like month, at least another month or 2 months. Putting this on the webpage. So I think I might have a web page already created with the links. I can copy and like rechange the name, I guess, of maybe from my population of Rome page. Somehow, maybe, I don't know. Well, yeah, to an extent, to save some time. To save the whole hassle of making sure that the links are separated. Anyway, so, but I'm still motivated on it. I'm smoking extra weed, smoking a lot of weed, and focusing only on this, not talking to Kirsten until I'm done with this project. Trying to focus on it. I'm like, out of all the things that I'm doing, like this is like super artistic, and it's something that like I think a lot of people would be interested in who wouldn't be interested in some of the other stuff I'm doing, like Boulder Run. And also, oh, and I got an idea of not anytime soon, but like to make a duplicate of it in Atlantis, because like Atlantis is where I go to put all of my artistic ideas. So like, because the idea is that Atlantis is this island, it's big enough to put lots of interesting stuff on it. Because you could imagine Atlantis in a parallel universe that never got destroyed and continued, and then all these fancy like buildings and like cities and ideas started popping up there. So that's why I built Exceed 4000 there, which you can download on Google Earth on my site. And I wanted to put the Jetsons town there, and then I was gonna build like a section where it's like the ring roads or the sizes of all the biggest cities in the world, all kind of clustered together. And then I want to do this idea that I just got now is like all of the, if Atlantis is big enough, I think it is, all of the island is like 550 kilometers by 350 kilometers. All of the creeks here, only instead of going parallel west to east, they're all coming out from a central point. So you have your central downtown area of like Boulder County, the city of Boulder County in Atlantis. And you have 5 creeks that go out like a pentagon. One of them is North St. Vrain, one of them is South St. Vrain, one of them is Foma Canyon, one of Left-Hand Canyon, one of them is Boulder Creek, one of them is South Boulder Creek. And then out of each of those go out, you have the actual length, or the real length, and then all of the rivers, the gulches that come out of them and creeks are the real ones at the real distances from the headwaters and the real length with their own realistically duplicated gulches. And then even the drainage basins would be duplicated and turned into subdivisions of houses on Atlantis. And so that would be interesting to look at, and it would also be an interesting way to connect Boulder County to Atlantis, and conceptually, and to imagine the sizes of it, and to help memorize the layout of Boulder County. Because when you're looking, like if you look at somebody's face or somebody's like personality, there's a signature to it that makes them unique. And it's the same thing with creeks and how creeks and drainage basins look. So it's kind of like the flag. I was looking like, I don't know if Boulder County has a flag. Like America has a flag, Colorado has a flag. It's like, why not have, my high school has like a flag. So why not the county and the city have their own flag? I don't even know if they do. I should look it up. But if Boulder County had a flag, it shouldn't be boring. Like a simple drawing of a rodent climbing up a tree trunk or something. It should be the creek signature, like a picture of the lines of the creeks coming down off the mountains, because it's the same shape as a flag anyway. Boulder County is the same shape as a flag, and the creeks going down in there, you can make it the same shape. So, or like make it like a square flag. So that'd be cool. I should submit that. So anyway, so yeah, I was originally thinking about turning those creeks into a bush. Oh, and I think I still want to. You do it to a bush and with a city, with the streets coming off the city. But the reason I wanted to do it with a bush is because bushes and drainage basins are both natural. Cities aren't. And so just to connect the two natural and just to see, because it seems like they would look the same. I was looking at a tree and the length of the branches to the twigs seemed the same ratio. And I would like to mathematically, when I'm an old man, mathematically work out the ratio of lengths between tributaries and creeks with the twigs and the branches of a tree, and see if the ratio is the same or how similar it is. That'd be fascinating if it's the same. You'd be like, whoa, how do they know? How are they communicating? So what's the quantum? So anyway, so yeah, at this point I'm still interested in it enough to keep working. Like the way that I operate is I go until I kind of burn out, and then that's when I switch. But I don't know when I'm going to burn out until the moment I burn out. That's always like that. So I could be like, now I could be like, yeah, I'm going to do it until I finish in 2 months, and then like tomorrow I could be like, oh yeah, I freaked out and I decided to go. So who knows? A lot of times I switch based on like external influence. Like if my mom suddenly starts stressing me out, pushing me forward, that's why it's good for me to be isolated. Like I work like a quantum computer. Quantum computers have to be in like 250 sub-zero temperature, so that all the quantum is like in its suspended state, in a meditative state, affected by the outside world. Like I operate best that way. And so, oh my God, what was my point? What the hell was I talking about? So yeah, it keeps me, see, and also if I can hold that thought, like I can abandon things because I can hold the thought. And it's easier to hold the thought on something if it feels like, if I'm in the same state of mind as I was when I held that thought, even if it was long, many years ago. And if I interject other people's realities, like by hanging out with them in between, it makes the perception of the time going by seem like more time, So it helps me stay on track with my website without forgetting where stuff is and getting discombobulated. Like upping. Like I was doing that the other day, building stuff twice because I forgot the first time. With something else, and yeah. So it's good to stay isolated so I can stay focused and remember what I'm doing. The downside, I guess, of that is it makes time go by really fast. So it kind of makes you like you live your life, and then you like wake up one day, and to you it seemed like 1 year went by, but 20 years went by. And then you look at your website, you're like, cool, I made the website. And to you understand how it took a long time, but other people look at it and they're like, don't understand how it could take that long. So then their perception is you didn't do anything, and so then they try to do stuff like talk you out of doing what you want to do. Like I bought all this triathlon stuff. Somebody tried to buy it off me because they thought I was like not legit. Anyways, so I'm holding the thought. I'm just holding the thought. So I'm quantum. There's something else I was going to talk. The nature of anyway. how the website's like that. But anyway, so I'm still, working on this, and this is like one of the things that I've been working the longest on in one project for the more than I usually go only like 3 or 4 weeks. I'm past 4 weeks now, so. But that's good. If I can work like more than a month on something, that means I'm in a good place. Like I'm not worried about time, and I don't even care. And I'm like, let's just do it, because I work the best if I'm consistent with something. I'm not going to work as well if I was to break away from this and then come back in a year, because there're going to be stuff I don't remember, and I might start making mistakes, and I won't be. But a lot of the times I am in a more advanced state, and I have a clearer idea. But that's because usually when I broke away the first time, I was burnt out, but also, because my skills are up, so that's interesting to do when you do the whole website at the same time. Because if you go back to something that you were working on like generations ago, you're like, oh my God, and you can fix it way faster than when you were before, because your skills are better. And sometimes that generational leap is like, you were there only like a year ago and you already made a leap. So yeah, I don't know any examples off the top of my head, but so anyways, I'm gonna go and smoke some more weed, maybe listen to some music, and then wish I could have a coffee. I'm kind of getting addicted to caffeine. It's like my thing to do to take time off. I'll go look out. Maybe the coffee's there. Sometimes the coffee is just there. I should buy a new coffee maker, and then get going again. I mean, it is kind of, I guess, it's fun to do, but it's so much work that it can be kind of tedious. So I do have to kind of take a lot of breaks, but I'm still thinking that if I were to work like, I don't know, man, like 2 more weeks, let's make that the prediction. Hear me now, quote me, in 2 weeks. In 2 more weeks, I'll be done with the creeks, like the creeks of the mountains. Yeah, that whole file. I'll be done with it. The creeks, and then I'll be ready to start doing the lakes of Boulder County, to organize them how the creeks are. So yeah, let's just see if I can do that in 2 weeks. Like, it's a lot of work, but 2 weeks is something that I can do. So let's see if that's possible. And then after that, to reorganize the lakes in there, it'll be a week. So there's 3 weeks. And then to put it on the website, at least a month. So yeah, you're talking 2 more months just on that. And I've done it a month. So that's 3 months just on creeks and rivers of Boulder County. That's 1/4 of a year just on creeks and rivers of Boulder County. And this is a project that I only started just now. Like, if you go back a month ago before I started on this, I was trying to link all of the stuff I already built on Google Earth to my website and not built anything new. And so here I am building like one of the biggest Google Earth projects I have. It's like, whatever, but it's cool. It's an ego thing for me, I guess. When I finally start like exercising, I'm gonna be too old to like, maybe be too old to like be elite. So I'll just have to make it like a meditative thing and within my own division type of an idea, and adjust the outlook, and that's like whole nother challenge for me. But the way that I can deal with that is that stay isolated. Like, I'm isolated now from my website, but I'm gonna have to be just as isolated for when I'm trying to get back in shape and staying in shape. I'm not gonna be interested in other people's thoughts at all. Even athletes, I'm not gonna be interested in anybody's thoughts unless they're my protege, somebody who I can inject my thoughts into because they're a blank slate. And I already have those lined up, but I don't want to talk about it right now. Already, talk to you tomorrow.